Welcome to Brevard News Focus. My name is Kevin Jeffrey, your moderator, and I'm joined today by a special guest. I'm Powers, who ran for Volusia County Sheriff against Mike Chitwood in 2024. And James, welcome to Brevard News. There's a lot going on out in the law enforcement sphere today, and a lot of it is you have a lot of constitutional audits being done by various people, and we're beginning to find out now that there's a lot of things being done by law enforcement that's not constitutional. So you decided to run for sheriff last year, and it was because of this?
The reason I ran is seeing Chitwood's unconstitutional laws and the unconstitutional, he was pushing for county statutes like special event zones. If you had an event with more than 50 people, the RPOs, risk protection orders were basically, I could sign an affidavit and say, I think you might have a mental illness, and they're going to come kick your door and take all your guns without due process. We'd researched that, and there was over 330 within 6 months just in Volusia County. As a constitutional sheriff, and once Amendment 10 was brought into we all voted on it back in, I think it was 16 or 18. I thought it was going to be a good thing. What it ended up doing is giving some people, some sheriffs, even some clerk of courts, even some property appraisers or tax collectors, it gave them the ability to make their own budget where they have zero, no one's looking into them. So if they go before the county council and say, I need another 20 million, the county council can tell them no, but then the county council is going to be frowned upon by the citizens because the sheriff's department or the supervisor elections or this, that, the other, whatever constitutional office is doing it. He got too much power, he gained too much power, and he started taking it out on the citizens, and he started violating our rights, and I just don't believe in it.
So why did you think that the amendment was going to be a good thing to begin with?
I'm pro-police. I'm pro-police 100%. Love law enforcement. I thought it was I was following a county council member that was basically saying his budget was too big, it was this, it was that, and this was all during COVID, and you had all the BLM riots, you had all the Antifa. I thought he was doing a great job. I've liked the guy. I've done podcasts for him, not for him actually, but supported him in support of him. And then once I'm a diehard Republican. In the 2020 election, when Trump lost, he sent me an email personally on January 10th, 2021, that stated President Trump is not a law and order president. President Trump is as bad as the far left. He thinks the January 6th was, an insurrection instead of people redressing their government and assembling peacefully. And that's when I really started looking into him. I talked to a lot of people. I talked to federal agents. I talked to lots of local law enforcement. And I'm like, is anyone going to run against this guy and shut it down? Because he would basically come to the county council and say, we got to make this, code, or we got to change this, or we got to do that, just to give more control to him. Do
you think this is happening not just with Chitwood, but a lot of sheriffs?
It's happening all over the place. Chitwood and me spoke at an event during the campaign, and the RPO got brought up. And he blamed it and literally sat back in his chair and chuckled and goes, why don't you ask Grady Judd about that? Because he's the one that pushed for it. He doesn't want to take responsibility. If there's any, I'm sure you follow, I think we've had 6 or 7 officers and deputies, either here nor there, up in Volusia County, either be arrested or resigned in just the last year. And what they're letting them do is they're letting them resign to where they can just go to another agency. They're stopping the investigations. As a constitutional sheriff, he is supposed to uphold the constitutional rights of all citizens within that county. So if a law enforcement officer in, say, Edgewater violates a citizen's rights, him being the sheriff of Volusia County should step in and correct the situation, or at least give guidance. And then it also falls all the way back to elected officials, city council, county council, mayors. None of them are really doing their part. And a constitutional sheriff is the largest position, the most powerful position
in the county, isn't it?
Exactly.
So you understand, you're familiar with Sheriff Mack out of Vegas.
No, 100%.
Okay.
Richard.
So what do you think about his operation? And he's going around the country and he's trying to.
I've been to a lot of his events. I think he's a good man. You know, he's the only one that sued the Clintons and never got Clintoned. You know, as a joke.
Right, right,
You know, he fought for the Brady bill.
right.
You know, against it rather. I think he's a stand-up guy. You know, it's a COSPA, I think it is, Constitutional Officers and Sheriffs. It's a good organization. There's a lot of useful information on it. We definitely need a change in policing, but elected officials also need to help do that. And citizens, well, the deal I look at is a lot of citizens don't think it's a big deal until it affects them. And you know, I'll talk to people, like even during my campaign, I talk to somebody, and they're like, "What are you doing this?" And I tell them, and then literally 6 months later, they'll be like, "Holy cow, you're right. This just happened to my brother or my nephew or my cousin," and it's just. I'm sure you're familiar with qualified immunity. If we could get rid of qualified immunity, we'd have a better position and more education. Like if you go to Norway or something, to become a law enforcement officer, it takes 4 years. Not, I think it's 900 hours in the state of Florida. It might be even less than that. But to become a hairdresser in the state of Florida is over 1,200.
So everyone that is a lot of people believe in law enforcement, but for some reason, James, we've gotten to this place where the citizens don't believe there needs to be checks and balances with law enforcement. Does that disturb you?
100%. And what disturbs me more, Kevin, is our elected officials that have control of the checks and balances, they're not doing it. We had in the town we live in, there was an officer just arrested for, I don't know if it was assault, a battery. He got arrested while in uniform, slamming a lady while she was in handcuffs, all on body cam. What's disturbing is the other officer that was there and witnessed it didn't say anything.
Why?
I'm not the officer, so I don't know. But once
this is typical.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is once the officer was arrested, I reached out to our mayor. I reached out to the city commission. I'm like, hey, did you guys look up this? You know, it was shared all online of his past, and they're like, it's not our job. That's the city manager's job, and that's what happens everywhere. You know, you just have to.
Oh yeah, they default to the city manager for sure.
But they're the ones that hire the city manager.
Right.
So this is a trickle down effect, to where you can take a constitutional office and it's way up here, but until you have the people down here holding this office accountable, there's never going to be the changes. I mean, I honestly have came to the conclusion that a sheriff is the CEO of a corporation. The deputies, most of them, not all of them, there's a lot of great deputies, a lot of great police officers. You know, I say 98% are true to the factor. And if they didn't have the I'm on your side, I'm on their side, I think we'd have more deputies and officers coming forward with the corruption. But they're going to get sidelined. They're going to get thrown out. They're going to get, you know, bad details. Yeah, but you know, it's a slippery slope. But policing has turned in, and instead of protecting and serve, no matter if they put integrity on every car, it's came into financial policing. You know, it's all based on why do we need vehicles that are unmarked, which the state of Florida just passed. You know, they just, I don't know if you have them down here, if it's a gray car, the writing's in gray. Or they can even be unmarked. Those are only to be used for traffic control. That seems like you're an entrapment. Why can't we get police back into the community where we have a fully badged and lighted car sitting at a school crosswalk, not one that's waiting just to give you a ticket.
Say, I got you.
You
Well,
know,
it comes down to the money, though.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you know, it's all based on that.
So you have it. I mean, and the people have been indoctrinated to believe that if you question law enforcement, which is just even in keeping them in checks and balances,
100%.
that somehow you hate law enforcement, that you're bad, you're for the criminals. How do you get on the other side of that? And what did you say when you addressed that when you were running for sheriff?
Well, my biggest thing is you can't arrest the homeless out of someone. You can't arrest the mental illness out of someone. Those are the two main factors. If you look up statistics, mental illness is a big part of incarceration. The word is recidivism. You know what?
Right.
I always have a hard one with that.
Constantly going.
Yeah, through the system.
But people are making money off of that.
Exactly. You know, like where I know Ivy controls his jail down here. And I know you guys have a work camp out there off of 95. I think you still do. I haven't been down here in quite a while. Volusia County, the sheriff doesn't want to control the jail. I believe, that was one of the things I said. I'm like, if you're going to arrest a person, you're going to follow through the prosecution of the person, you should want to rehabilitate the person. It's a money thing. That's all it is. I mean, you got in Citrus County right now, a judge over there is charging, it's $50 a day when you get put in jail. It's like hundreds of thousands of dollars people owe just for going to jail. Well, how are you ever going to, become a citizen, a productive?
You're basically in some kind of a slavery, aren't you? I mean,
I wouldn't call it a slavery. I mean, we all put ourselves in situations. I've been to jail. I've been arrested. It was my past. Everyone has a past. The problem is if there's not the tools to rehabilitate the person, and some people don't want rehabilitated, and those are just the ones that, yeah, you're a criminal. You got to be locked up. But there's people that, if you were to give them the tools, we could fix the problem. The problem is the more crime they can create, or the more crime that is there, and the more code enforcement, that's unlawful. Code enforcement in Volusia County, or in, the city I live in, and most of the cities in Volusia County, code enforcement's ran by the police department.
Correct.
So why can I not paint my house a certain color? Why can I? It's all for financial gain, and people got to realize that. You can be 100% cop and they don't do anything wrong, but then you have to look at exactly how the funding comes. And that's like asset forfeiture. I'm sure you guys, you followed, the big raid they did down here, Chitwood and Ivy did about 6-8 months ago with all the little gaming halls. They don't close them down. They're just going to take all the cash. They break the screens. They take the chipboards out of them, or hard drives, and the people just move to a new location with the same machines. It's like the Osceola County Sheriff that he must have really PO'd somebody. Osceola County,
right.
That Lake County came and arrested him. We need more people that aren't scared of it. When I first put my name in the hat to run, they sent out over a $40,000 mailer with my criminal record, my mugshot on it. I hadn't even qualified. And that's the type of money they spend, because they don't want me or someone like you in their filing cabinets. They don't want that. Because we're going to call them out. We're going to be like, no, that was wrong. You can't arrest, a lot of cops, and I hear them say it, they'll arrest somebody just for feelings. Who's that cost money to? Me and you as the taxpayer and all the citizens.
What is the platform that you ran on?
To enforce illegal immigrants with 287G, which you can look me up. It's all over the place. I said it. Even though
when you say 287G, tell them.
That's Homeland Security. It's a program that any law enforcement agency can be involved in to help Homeland Security. They just started. It's called street training, I think it is. But the 287G program is to basically get illegal immigrants out of your area. I'm not talking about grandma and this, you have to do it fair. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can't go after this person, not that person, but you also have to come in our country the right way. That was one of my platforms. The other one was mental health and homeless. You can't just arrest people with mental health and not give them some type of solution or some type of program. And I'm not saying I want my tax dollars going one way or the other, but when they're just arresting people just for the circulation to make the jail look full and the officer's doing his job, it's the wrong thing.
Do you think there's a false concept of what law enforcement is and also what law and order is? It's a perception issue?
Well, you always need law enforcement. Without law and order.
I mean, just in terms of how the people see it. So if the sheriff goes and he rounds up all of the homeless and get them off the street, and
100%.
That there's the perception that we're safe and everything is great, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is that perception there?
That's honestly, like the city of Daytona stopped panhandle. They did a city ordinance for panhandling, and that was when Chitwood was also the chief of police, is when that was pushed through. It's your First Amendment right. Like, if they come up and knock on my window, I tell them, hey, I ain't got no money. I don't know what to take. If you can stand out in the sun for 10 hours, I'm not talking about the people in the wheelchair or people with broken, or this, that, the other. If you can stand in the sun, we watch them rotate out on corners. And it's like a business. It's like, okay, you got 7 to 2. I got, 2 to 5. I got this, I got that. They're probably making more money than me and you put together.
Well, they don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, it's
that.
Another part of my platform was the flock system. I don't know if you guys have it down
Oh
here.
yeah, we have it here.
To where that Orange City officer just got arrested for it. He was and just convicted. I think he got 5 years probation, maybe even more than that. But you know, he was arrested for stalking his girlfriend on it.
Because there's no accountability with the flock system. So anybody can get on there and they can trace anyone, right?
So during one of the events we went to, the PIO of Volusia County came up behind our truck and literally took pictures of my tag. Well, they didn't have to pull it through David that way, so they could just throw my name right at that tag number in the flock system.
And then track wherever you went.
Exactly. And there's no accountability. Zero.
Well, with David, they would actually be accountable.
I did. So whoever pulled my criminal record
Yeah.
and shared it, I was told that it was pulled through David. And I've been working with the FDLE for 2 years now and still can't get an answer.
But that's a violation.
Yes.
And there is some accountability there.
But
with David.
they have to want to do the accountability.
Yeah.
You know.
There is that.
You know.
So audits, do you think that groups like James Madison that are doing constitutional audits, there's groups doing constitutional audits all over the country now.
100%.
I mean, it's just spreading like wildfire, good or bad?
90% of them are good. Some take it to the extreme.
For example?
There's one thing standing there, videotaping, regressing your government, asking questions, and there's another thing, antagonizing. And it just depends on the auditor. And it depends on the situation. I mean, sometimes I see, you know, the new 25-foot rule. Like I know of a lot of auditors that never have been within 25 feet of law enforcement anyway. And then I've seen other auditors throughout the country that, you know, they go straight up to their face, you know, and F you and you're this and you're that. And it's like, we're all grown men, women, you know what I mean? You still have to have respect.
Just because you're free to do it doesn't mean that you should.
Exactly. I believe in showing I give the same respect I get. And I'll even let you disrespect me for a bit. But then it's going to come to that point where I'm a grown man and we're going to respect each other like grown-ups. So it's a good thing. They're showing, they're getting their hands on a lot of information that needs to be published. And those are the ones I really like. There's some of it that just do it for clicks and baits. The ones that are actually getting the paperwork, like you mentioned James Madison, he's getting the paperwork. He's not just talking the talk, he's getting the paperwork, and he's actually producing it, and he's publishing it. You got some up in Long Island doing it, you got some in Jersey, you got some out in the Midwest, you got a couple in California, up in the San Francisco Bay Area, that are actually doing it for a purpose to change.
So they're seeing that the constitutional rights are being violated, and many of your officers do not know the Constitution, and they're holding them to account
100%.
as a result of that. Do you think something good will come from that?
I think it will. Like there's a guy in Long Island that police departments have actually started hiring him to train the officers, which he's been going all over the country, you know, the Midwest and up in to the Northeast, training officers, you know, departments on your feelings can't trump their constitutional rights. You've got another one out of St. Augustine. I don't know the name of his channel. I know his name. I don't want to blast him. But he holds a sign that just literally says, "God bless the homeless vets." And, you know, they wear him out, arrest him. I think if there was if the qualified immunity was gone, we would have less of this. Do you follow Katie's Unsafe Space?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so she's a Republican lady, lives in not South Florida, but down there somewhere. She's been like thrown out of 2 farmers markets for walking around asking people their beliefs on the Republican versus Democrat or their beliefs on this. Threatened for arrest. And then all of a sudden, you know, they throw her out, the cops come, this, that, the other, and 2 days later her lawyer has paperwork and she presents it like the chief or the this or the that just took my trespass away, they violated my rights, they this, they that. So and that all boils down to the cities, you know, and your city commission. The more your city commission sees law enforcement doing this and not stepping in your county council, they're the problem.
So what is happening is that you have law enforcement encroaching ever so slightly on the constitutional rights of citizens. They are arresting people for no constitutional reason at all. And the citizens are allowing it to be so. The cities are allowing it to be so. And most of And you can see that with a lot of the charges that they throw at people. And by the time they're through, anybody that has a competent lawyer, it's been narrowed down to almost nothing. So do you think this will ever stop? Do you think that and how do you think it can stop?
We have to get our legislators and our elected officials on game. You know, we can sit here and beat on the table and, you know, go out into the streets. It ain't going to change anything. I personally don't even go to a lot of the city council or county council meetings because most of the time as you're talking, they're doing this. They're diddling or they're talking to the person next to them or this, that, the other. Until you can get respect from the elected officials that are representing you in your city, your county, your state, your district, your zone, you are never going to get anywhere. You can talk until you're blue in the face. And all they're going to do is threaten you, do this, do that. I don't know how many death threats I got when I was running for office. And a lot of them, you know, even a few came back to, I know where they came from. You know, like, what if we find you, or what if Big Brother was the best one?
How would they do it? They sending this by telephone or
through Facebook, text message, because I never shut my stuff private.
Okay.
I was offered when I ran, because it was for an office to where I could make my whole life private. I even had a Florida rep say, no one will ever find anything about you. I'm like, no, if I'm going to run for office, I'm going to run as who I am. They know my name, my address, my telephone number. They know everything about me. I'm not hiding anything. And yeah, I mean, the best one ever was, what if Big Brother finds you dead on your bathroom vanity, cause of death was you drowned in your sink?
What?
And I sent the guy my address, and I said, remember, I'm a big boy, so make sure you're ready. And that's why I deal with it. You know, it's
you leaned into it.
Yes, it's right now, like in Volusia County, it's kind of disheartening. We've got someone that's on a city council, and then we have someone running for office, and they're both like, I'm going to call the police, y'all are cyber stalking me. You can't give emojis and comments that I don't like. That's where those elected officials we don't need. Like, we need freedom of speech. It doesn't really matter what your feelings are. If your feelings are getting hurt, then it's the wrong position for it.
Office.
You know, it's like Chitwood. Right. Like, he's brought, I think it's 4 people he's had flown in because they threatened to kill him on 4chan. It's like, give me a break, brother. You're the damn sheriff. Like, grow a set and do your job. You know, he always wants that 15 minutes of fame. He wants in front of that microphone. He wants in front of that camera, just to push his cause and act like you know, he wears a little 6-shooter revolver. I mean,
did you ever talk to him much?
Me and him, actually, I did. We had a communication back when he was the chief of police in Daytona, and the only reason we had that communication was over a red light camera ticket I got. And I'm the type person that I looked at the law. I went to the intersection. I timed the light. The light wasn't timed right, so I called someone I knew at the police department. I said, hey, I'm going to bring the news up there with all this evidence. And they were like, no, don't do it. Chitwood personally called me. And this is back in 2012, 13. And I said, well, I want to go to court. Well, the red light cameras, you can't go to court. You refuse to go to court. You have to you got the ticket. They prosecuted you. You mail the money to New York. New York, the company in New York, keeps half the money. They send the other half back to the city. I'm like, no, I have a right to face my accuser. My accuser isn't the camera. My accuser has to be the police department. So I was told that the police department has their light duty officers sit in a room and review the footage that the company sends them. So I said, well, if you say I ran it, whatever. I said, I'll pay it, but I'm going to pay it here in town. Well, we can't accept it in town. You can't go to the courthouse and pay it. So I ended up going to the water department in the city of Daytona Beach to pay it. That was my first interaction with him. That's when I still liked him because he was a hard ass like I am. And, you know,
so you have a lot of respect for that.
To an extent, but there's a way, there's a time and place to use it. You know, during our campaign, we met. I tried to shake his hand. He walked away. Like, literally, I said, hey, Mike, how's it going? Went to shake his hand. He saw it was me, turned around and walked away. Me and him ended up at the same time. He was at a meet and greet. It was at a restaurant. I was there. His literally command staff started walking around the restaurant, passing out my criminal record. A restaurant I frequent all the time. That's like, if that's the type of leadership you have, you're not for the citizens. you're for yourself and your own organization.
So if you were in office and you had one as Volusia County Sheriff, what would you have done differently?
My main goal would be to prevent crime, not wait for crime to happen. I'm sure you know a lot of law enforcement agencies have their own drug houses. They straight up, you know, you can snitch and snitch and snitch and snitch and snitch and snitch and still do your thing. Well, all that is just fueling the machine. That's just fueling the income, fueling, you know, if we can prevent crime and get the crime out of the way, now we no longer need as many law enforcement officers. Now we no longer need as many prosecutors. We need less judges. We need, you know, we need less government in the end is my goal. And to do that is to prevent crime, not wait for crime to happen. I'm not saying stalking people, but you know, when during my campaign, he perp walked some little kids that said they were doing terror threats to shoot up schools and stuff. I have the paperwork. The charges were dropped. They were null processed. Like he jumps the gun to look like a hard ass when he should stand back and let the courts do their due diligence and then come forward and be like.
But that's prevalent, isn't it? I mean, you see a lot of law enforcement doing that. I mean,
so I can only fight. I can only fight for my county. I live there. My daughter, hopefully.
So it's happening a lot in Volusia.
Oh, it's happening everywhere.
Right.
But you know, you can be a voice for the whole country. Everything starts local. Everything starts small. Once you can change something in one community, then that community can take that little plan, you know, and this is how we did it, and they take it to the next community, and that's the way it starts. Then people start looking at it. You know, like Mr. Mack, how you were talking about him. He's going state to state, city to city, county to county, you know, to make places constitutional counties. You know, it's one of those things where Volusia County doesn't want to talk about it. Naples finally became one after Stephen Friend went down there, and I think he got 20 minutes. Everyone like gave him his time, and he's a very intelligent man, way more intelligent than I am on the subject. But it's until you get people that are actually going to take the time to listen, and elected officials that are going to take the time to do their due diligence and do their job instead of just saying, oh, I'm elected, we're done, it's not going to change.
Yeah, but isn't it the people? I mean, the problem is that the people are not engaged. And at the end of the day, all of the power in the Constitution has been entrusted to the people.
Yeah.
Have they abdicated their position and their responsibility?
The problem is the people are scared of law enforcement. Like, what do you do when a cop pulls up behind you? Well, lights on or lights not on. You're like, oh shit, what's going on? That's what you do. We shouldn't be scared of the cops. Yeah, I know a lot of law enforcement. I know state troopers. I know state agents. Everyone, and 90% of my buddies that are in this field agree with me. You know, it's not policing anymore. It's financial gain. It's
and they see that.
Oh yeah. Talk to a cop that was a cop 20 years ago versus a cop that's been a cop for 6 years or 7 years. It's two completely different like mindsets and ideology. Maybe not even 6 or 7, maybe 10. And there are some from 20 years that I know that are still just, honestly, they're just not good people. You know, they're on that power trip, and the more power they get, and my understanding is you always see the ones move up in the field that have the more dirt on people. But it all boils down to your county council and your city council or city commissioners. Once they start addressing the problem in these departments through the city manager, changes will happen.
So there's a culture. We've had former police that have said that there's a culture that develops within departments.
100%.
And it's that culture, you're actually rewarded that as you adhere to the culture, those who adhere to it move up, those who don't are marginalized.
Exactly.
So that would be accurate.
Yeah, 100%. From my understanding, like I say, I'm not in law enforcement, never been in law enforcement. But the way you worded it, yeah, 100% is the way I've understood it. That's why I ran for sheriff, because I'm a neutral guy. Like I'm very, you know, everyone calls me in the political world, they call me Switzerland. Because I'm going to talk to you, we ain't got to agree, but it's still going to be what's right is what's right, what's wrong is what's wrong. You know, I called my city commissioner about 7-8 months ago about someone I met during my campaign that lives in our city that got like $36,000 in code violations because they put up a privacy fence without a permit and they put pavers in their front yard. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm like, this is in federal appeals court now. And the city commissioner I was speaking with is like, well, they broke the code. I don't know what to tell you. So I call someone else, and they call the city manager. And the city manager is like, that person wanted to argue with us. We're going to show them how this works.
Oh, boy.
Those are our tax dollars.
Oh, boy.
You know, and that boils down to the police departments. You know, and even the utility departments, you know.
So a lot of those code enforcements, though, and tell me if I'm wrong, they're just being used because if you want to live in a homeowners association, go live in a homeowners
100%.
association. You don't use the government as a de facto homeowners association.
100%.
That's what's happening with code enforcement, right?
Yes, 100%. It's they basically are doing whatever they want to do, and they're making up the rules as they go along. You know, and you might be able to do one thing that I might not be able to do. Like I'm in construction and build swimming pools, and I notice like this builder can do this and I can't do that, or I can do this, and every city's different, every county's different. You know, we've got multiple cities within Volusia County, and you can do something in this city and it's totally different than this city, and it's the same with code enforcement. They just make the stuff up to where you never know what's right, what's wrong. You know,
well, and then you can unequally apply it, right? You know the old axiom. I think it was Mussolini that said it: "For my friends, anything; for my enemies,
100%.
the law."
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, so
But they made up the law.
Right? What would you tell citizens about how they can get involved and change where things are?
Basically, do your research, do your due diligence. Whenever you see, like in our county, when you see those special event zones, when you see this, like in our county where they do them, I know the cities had to vote to have the sheriff allow him to make special event zones in certain areas. And the meetings, yeah, if you got the time, go stand at the meetings and talk. That 3 minutes, I think, is better spent in an email or a phone call, in my personal opinion. Just get out there, start seeing exactly what's happening. The biggest thing is like I told people during my campaign when they're like, there's no way that happened. And I'm like, why don't you, when you see an officer or deputy at a racetrack or a Wawa, walk up and introduce yourself and see if they respect you or they turn around and walk away. Because you will see it both ways. Some will chit chat and be like, oh, I'm having, ask them how their day is, this, that, the other. Start engaging with them to where law enforcement knows we are on their side, but we're on the same team. It's not them against us. And it's not, as you said, my friends versus my enemies. So it's, I have law enforcement where I live that someone will walk up to my truck if they see me sitting somewhere, eating lunch, and they'll walk up and bullshit and talk and everything. And then I have others that like give me that, 6-foot glare and, it's like I still wave at them, It's just until we all get along, we all understand we want the same goal and we all want to keep our constitutional rights. And some people don't even believe in the Constitution anymore is the sad part. They don't understand it.
So, I mean, we've been trying to push that on this show a lot, that the people, all of the power in the Constitution, unlike any other government ever in the history of this world, has been entrusted to the people. But the people have a responsibility to be engaged.
Yes.
And the moment they lose that engagement, you have what we have today. And show me where I'm wrong.
The problem is you're not wrong, but I believe the people that are engaged in the government officials don't respect the people anymore. Once they what I've noticed is I got involved in politics in about 2018, so I'm not seasoned by no means. But I noticed like when to call a rabbit, when to call a sheep, when to call a wolf. Once they get elected, there's a very small majority that's ever going to speak to you again because they got what they needed from you. Now they're part of the system. It's all a system. They all work together. No matter if they talk baloney about each other, they still work together, and they're still on their team. We're on our team. And no matter what they want to tell us, they're still on their own team. My biggest thing is you have to push for our elected officials to make the change. Us going to the chief or the sheriff isn't going to do a damn thing except put us on a list. It's still going to put you on the list by going to the city council or county council, but until you're not afraid of being on the list, and I'm seeing the numbers grow, but some people are doing it in a way that's not, you still have to be respectful.
Well, I did. I saw one of the guys out in California. He was in a state building, and they called the police, and he really was being disrespectful to the guy. He called him shorty, or he said that he's got short man's disease and this kind of thing. He made his point, and all of that was really not necessary. Do you think that that brings a ill repute on the whole process of the constitutional audits?
It depends on how you look at it. Like, people have to realize that some of the guys that are doing that are literally doing it for clicks and baits. So the more aggressive they can be, the more following they get.
Okay.
In my opinion, I don't know what their mindset is or their mental illness is, or mental capability or status, or however you want to word it. My whole point is, a lot of them are doing the right thing. A lot of them are digging into corruption. There's quite a few of them that are getting into media, which is pushing in the right direction. The problem is with social media, it's became so blatant. I was talking to someone running for office last night, and I was like, dude, chill on this one thing. And it's like, this account was made yesterday. This account was made 4 days ago. This account was made last week. It's like, these are trolls. There are people on the other side. I think people need to start focusing on, if you see something on a social media site, see if it's a real account. See if it's been around since 2007, 8, 9, 10. It's a...
Well, we have experience here on brevardNEWS, so they've been trolling us big time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, trust me, after this goes out, you're going to get trolled.
We're probably going to get trolled even more.
Oh, you will.
James Powers, thank you. What a wonderful interview. We really appreciate you being here, and thanks for joining us. And you had some great information, and I hope that you, the American people, listen to some of the things that are going on here. Again, you can respect law enforcement, but everyone has to be held accountable.
100%.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you next time on brevardNEWS Focus.